What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in with a bunch more Destiny 2 Forsaken news and stuff to round up. So we're going to talk about a dungeon hidden in the Dreaming City, a new area with a mode that we'll have to actually jump into to complete some objectives in the near future. Some pretty interesting stuff to talk about there, with more about the potential return of Morro and the Queen's Throne World, which we'll actually be able to visit. And this is going to lead to some pretty interesting stuff. We're going to talk about exotics and quests, collectibles in the Dreaming City, but then we're going to talk about the new heroic blind well, so there is a new mode this week, some new rewards and sources for powerful gear, update patch notes, so there have been a few changes to Destiny 2. We've got new insights about upcoming exotic changes, including the nerf to Sleeper Simulant. We now have a few more details about that, and we've got a bunch of other relevant stuff to round up for this week. So if you guys enjoyed the video, a rating below is super appreciated as always. Let me know any of your thoughts on this stuff in the comment section, but for now, let's jump straight into it. So first, we're going to talk about a dungeon in the Dreaming City, and this houses a number of bosses. There are some objectives we'll have to complete in the future, and this is all tipping us in the direction of the conclusion of the story of Dreaming City, and this will grant some pretty cool rewards. But right now in game, we turn in the Oracle offering bounties to receive purification ritual bounties. These are the ones that grant you the transcendent blessings. You have to kill knights in the Ascendant challenges, defeat plagues of the well at the blind well, and a bunch of other stuff. This week though, upon turning in my third Oracle offering, I actually got some pretty interesting dialogue in game that hints towards what's going to happen in the future. So I missed the very beginning of this clip, but it's actually Petra talking to the Queen and finding out exactly where Morro is. Petra talks about opening a gateway in due time that will lead us to the heart of the curse. And even the ghost says the Guardians will lead the way, so this is actually a hint to the progression in the Dreaming City. Some kind of gateway is going to open up. And of course, we've seen different gateways and portals into the Ascendant realm, and there are actually a couple of hidden purification ritual bounties. So we can see this one: complete the dungeon, the Shattered Throne, while wearing a full Reverie Dawn set and while Ascendant. There's another one here to defeat Vorgoth, the Boundless Hunger in the dungeon, the Shattered Throne, while Ascendant. So on top of what we've seen so far, we are going to see some kind of dungeon in the Shattered Throne. I believe this is inside of the Ascendant realm, and we can see the activity listed here: the Shattered Throne, strike back at the curse that plagues the Dreaming City, a 550 power level mission. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see what this dungeon is all about. But back to the dialogue at the Oracle engine, it looks like ultimately we will have the opportunity to fight the curse whenever this gateway between worlds is actually opened. We've also been slowly kind of correcting and saving parts of the Dreaming City as the curse has actually become worse. So of course we had the Broken Courier missions where we rescued the Awoken Relics. We had the Oracle engine where the Taken had actually attacked the Oracle engine in the Dreaming City, and that was the mission that we've just had on this week's reset. And there is a third mission called the Dark Monastery. Provide recon for Petra's forces by investigating strange enemy activity in Rear Sylvia. I also spoke about some triumphs where you have to enter Morrosov's throne realm and to visit the Queen's Court. And this includes visiting the Queen's Court whenever the Queen is present. And I think what we're doing with the Oracle engine is definitely what will lead us to that content. Even when you look at the offering to the Oracle engine bounty, it is called Audience with the Queen. Of course, the Queen's Court. So that is ultimately how we will end up seeing Morro, or being able to interact in some way with her. We don't know whether she will actually come back into the game in some physical form, or maybe we'll communicate through the Ascendant realm and the Oracle engine. That definitely seems to be what's going to happen. But also with us saving various different Corsairs, rebuilding the Dreaming City, it seems pretty likely that we'll ultimately find Sir Ido. This is a character I spoke about a couple of days ago. This was the first Queen's Wrath member, and she was the owner of the Wishender bow. And when you look at the lore here, it's pretty bizarre stuff. But we have this line: Sir Ido watched shadows wind, warp, widen, watched surveillance feeds, encrypted, snaps the weapon hand of every woman and man who wished an audience. And that is those who wish for an audience with the Queen, presumably. Of course, with Sir Ido being one of the Queen's guards, you'd essentially have to get past this character first, which is pretty interesting, because if that is going to be the case, then this is definitely going to link to Wishender as well. So Dreaming City and the story around it is an absolute maze. It looks like short shortly, when we activate the Oracle Engine, we're going to open a gateway between worlds. This will probably give us access to the Shattered Throne dungeon, as well as Morosov's Throne World. But also, we've done 2 of 3 quest missions in Dreaming City, the Broken Courier, the Oracle Engine. Next we have Dark Monastery, and it feels like after this one, there could definitely be the beginning of a quest line and stuff that will take us deeper into the Dreaming City. So that stuff's pretty cool. We've spoken briefly before about all of these kind of crystals you can see around the Dreaming City with this Taken effect. They're currently immune, but there is a triumph that you can see, the Corrupted Omelette. Destroy all corrupted eggs in the Dreaming City. So that's actually what they're called. There are 40 of them. We've seen a bunch of them in different Ascendant challenges as well. There are 6 different Ascendant challenge realms. Of course, we've only done 3 up until now, but these are only available on specific weeks. Yet, there are at least 2 crystals in each realm that we've seen so far. So whenever we get to the point in time where we actually have to take these corrupted eggs out, whenever we can destroy them, it might be that when we have the Wish and the Bow, they actually are not immune to that damage. That is what I'm speculating. But either way, because there are 6 Ascendant challenges, it would actually take us an additional 6 weeks just to grab the 2 that you find in each Ascendant challenge, and that's outside of others that may be locked in specific areas, or the general ones that you see around the city. However, we don't really have any idea exactly what the reward for this will be. So that's some pretty crazy stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Next up though, let's talk about Sleeper Simulant. So Josh Hamrick actually gave some insights into what Bungie planned to do with this weapon. I spoke yesterday about the fact that Bungie had acknowledged feedback about Sleeper. So Josh Hamrick said, as mentioned, our goal for Sleeper is to make it an awesome option, but not the only option. At this time, we are committed to retaining Sleeper's full power, and will be tweaking its ease of use instead by reducing its generous aim assist values. This means Sleeper will be just as effective in PvE, while requiring slightly more skill to use in PvP. Assuming you're good enough to land your shots, you'll see no difference in behavior. We don't expect drastic behavioral differences from this change, but we also don't feel that it's far off. We'd rather ease in tweaks like these. So that is the plan of action for Sleeper Simulant right now. They're going to reduce the aim assist values, and this should make it less sticky, especially in that PvP side of things. And just like he said, it's an ease into a change as opposed to some big nerf that might destroy the weapon. They want to keep the weapon viable, so they're making a smaller change, seeing how it goes, and of course they can adjust it over time. We spoke about this a little bit in yesterday's video. There are plenty of opinions when it comes to nerfing and changing things in the game, so let us know what you think about these changes down below. In terms of endgame content, we've seen even more changes in Dreaming City. Of course, we had the new missions and things that we spoke about. Inside of the Blind Well though, there is actually a new heroic mode available. So to get heroic Blind Wells going, you do have to complete the tier 3. Once the tier 3 has been completed, you can immediately deposit an unstable charge of light. And you'll notice this week in the Blind Well, we now have Hive as opposed to Scorn. And I'm guessing this is linked to the curse in the Dreaming City, but essentially you have more or less the exact same encounters on the most part. The tier 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much the same thing, but just with different enemies. The tier 4, however, is a little bit different. So once you've done tier 3 and you activate tier 4, you will get one boss at the top of the steps right here. He'll have a shield which is immune, but instead of blowing up Thrall or enemies to get the shield off, or even using the Harmony buff, you'll actually have to kill a bunch of enemies that you find in the arena. So first up, on the left hand side, there'll be some wizards that come up. When you defeat these, 3 relics will spawn. You'll need to throw all of these at the shield on the boss, and I believe this is light level dependent as to how quickly you'll get that shield off. We had to run at least a couple of different enemy groups to get relics to take the shield off. So firstly you get the 2 wizards on the left, then you get 2 ogres on the right, and these will drop the orbs to take that shield off. Once you've done it, you can simply burn the boss down with heavy, supers, and all that good stuff. So a little bit different, but that is this week's tier 4 Blind Well. I wanted to finish by talking about some of the changes that Bungie dropped into the hotfix yesterday. So for Sandbox, Dragonfly Regalia armor now comes with a Masterwork socket. They fixed an issue where hand cannons were not using the correct recoil stats on PC, and Heavy Guard and Swordbearer's Guard now function correctly on adaptive swords. There are some specific activity fixes for different missions and strikes, some stuff about Crucible and connectivity. In Gambit, the activity reconnection has been disabled to allow for faster backfilling of lopsided teams, so if you lag out, then the game won't actually attempt to reconnect you. They fixed an issue where the Braytech Scout was granting weapon mods when dismantled. That was the kind of mod farm that folks have been using. They removed the Iris Pulsator Ghost Shell from collections, as it is not currently available. So in the collections the other day, I spoke about the fact that you could see this shell, and it was actually displaying as a reward for Prestige Spire of Stars. So a lot of folks thought maybe we could finally get this one, but Bungie have removed it because it's not currently actually in the game. It looks like this was something that was intended to be in the Warmind DLC all the way from when it launched and still has not actually been added. On top of this, the bounty audience with the Queen now takes time to abandon, and the offering to the Oracle item goes to the Postmaster if the player's consumables inventory is full, so you should no longer be losing those offerings, and clan daily bounties should now rotate at the daily reset rather than the weekly reset. So some good changes. Definitely curious about the Iris Pulsator, one of my favourite looking ghost shells in the game. I hope that at some point Bungie actually added in. But for now guys, that is going to summarize today's video. So a lot of information in this one. From what we can see, Dreaming City is just getting started. There's going to be a ton of content coming up, and it looks like this is literally going to take weeks and weeks to unlock. So we finally got that awesome endgame destination that we were always looking for, I guess. But let me know your thoughts on the content of this video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, a like below is very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more D2 content. But for now, whatever you guys get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.